Imagine you're buying something from another country. Maybe it's a cool new phone or a fancy coffee maker. Now imagine your country slaps an extra charge on that item just because it came from somewhere else. That, my friends, is a tariff, basically a tax on imports. These tariffs are like little border walls for goods. They make foreign products more expensive, hoping you'll buy local instead. Governments use them for different reasons, but the main one is to protect their own industries. Think of it like this. If a foreign country can make cheaper steel, it might put your local steel workers out of business. A tariff makes that imported steel pricier, giving domestic producers a fighting chance. But hold on, it's not that simple. Tariffs have a way of messing with the global economy in all sorts of unexpected ways. Let's dive into that, shall we? The most common reason for tariffs is protectionism. It's like building a cozy little fort around your country's industries and workers, creating a sense of security and stability. By making foreign goods more expensive, tariffs try to shield domestic businesses from competition, giving them a better chance to thrive. But it's not just about protecting jobs, it's also about fostering growth and innovation within the local economy. Sometimes tariffs are used to punish other countries for unfair trade practices, acting as a form of economic retaliation. For example, if one country subsidizes its exports, giving them an unfair advantage, another country might retaliate with tariffs to level the playing field. And then there's the whole national security argument, which adds another layer of complexity. Countries might slap tariffs on goods that are considered strategically important, like certain metals or technologies, to ensure they have a steady supply in times of crisis. It's all about reducing reliance on other nations, especially in times of tension or conflict, to maintain sovereignty and control. So, tariffs are a tool, a blunt instrument, some might say, that governments use to influence trade flows and protect their interests, often with mixed results. But like any tool, they can be used for good or ill, depending on how they are implemented and the intentions behind them. And their impact, as we'll see, can be far-reaching and unpredictable, affecting not just economies, but also international relations and everyday lives. Remember that whole interconnectedness thing? Well, it really comes into play when we talk about tariffs. When a big player like the United States imposes tariffs, it sends shockwaves through global commodity markets. Commodities are like the raw ingredients of the global economy, things like oil, copper, soybeans, and coffee. These goods are traded internationally and their prices are influenced by supply and demand. Now, when the US, with its massive economy, slaps tariffs on certain commodities, it messes with that delicate balance. For example, if tariffs make imported steel more expensive, US manufacturers who rely on steel might have to raise their prices, making their products less competitive globally. But here's the kicker. It's not just about the US. Those tariffs can create opportunities for producers in other countries. They might swoop in to fill the gap left by the more expensive US goods, potentially benefiting from increased demand and higher prices. Let's get specific, shall we? In 2018, the Trump administration imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, citing national security concerns. The goal was to protect American jobs and industries, but the impact was felt far beyond US borders. The tariffs made imported steel more expensive, hurting manufacturers in countries like Canada, Mexico, and the European Union. These countries retaliated with their own tariffs on US goods, like bourbon, motorcycles, and orange juice. Then there's the saga of soybeans. In 2018, the US and China got into a tit-for-tat trade war, with each side imposing tariffs on billions of dollars worth of goods. China, a major buyer of US soybeans, slapped a 25% tariff on the crop, hurting American farmers. These examples highlight how tariffs can have unintended consequences, sparking trade wars and disrupting global supply chains. It's like a game of economic whack-a-mole where one action leads to another, often with unpredictable results. Section 5, Boomerang Effect, the economic impact of tariffs on the US. So, tariffs might protect some domestic industries, but they can also end up hurting the very economy they're supposed to help. How's that for irony? Remember those higher prices for imported goods? Well, they get passed on to consumers who end up paying more for everything from cars to washing machines. This can lead to inflation, which erodes purchasing power and slows down economic growth. And what about those retaliatory tariffs from other countries? They can hurt US exporters, who suddenly find themselves shut out of key markets. This can lead to job losses, especially in industries that rely heavily on exports. The bottom line is that tariffs are a double-edged sword. While they might offer some short-term benefits to specific industries, they can also have negative consequences for the overall economy, consumers, and businesses. Section 6. A world intertwined tariff repercussions on global trade. We live in a globalized world where goods, services, and capital flow freely across borders. This interconnectedness has allowed economies to grow and prosper, creating a complex web of trade relationships. Tariffs, with their protectionist aims, disrupt these flows and create uncertainty in the global market. They act as barriers, increasing the cost of imported goods and making them less competitive. When countries start throwing up tariff barriers, it can lead to a decline in international trade. This reduction in trade can have far-reaching consequences, affecting everything from the availability of products to the stability of economies. Businesses become more hesitant to invest and expand, fearing further trade restrictions. This hesitation can lead to a slowdown in innovation and a reduction in the variety of goods available to consumers. This can stifle economic growth, not just in the countries imposing tariffs, but globally. The interconnected nature of modern economies means that a slowdown in one region can quickly spread to others. Moreover, tariffs can exacerbate existing geopolitical tensions. They can lead to retaliatory measures, creating a cycle of increasing barriers and hostility. Trade wars, like the one between the US and China, can damage relationships between countries and make it harder to cooperate on other important issues, such as climate change or global security. These conflicts can also lead to long-term economic damage that takes years to repair. In short, tariffs create a ripple effect, impacting not just the countries directly involved, but also the broader global trading system. The disruption of supply chains can lead to shortages and increased costs for businesses and consumers alike. They can undermine the rules-based order that has underpinned decades of economic growth and prosperity. The erosion of these agreements can lead to a more fragmented and less predictable global economy, making it harder for businesses to plan for the future. Section 7. The unpredictable path ahead. Future implications and considerations. Predicting the long-term impact of tariffs is like trying to predict the weather in a hurricane. Messy, complicated, and prone to sudden shifts. The global economy is a complex beast, and tariffs introduce a level of uncertainty that makes it difficult to forecast outcomes with any certainty. One thing is clear: tariffs are a blunt instrument. They can have unintended consequences, hurting the very industries they're trying to protect, and sparking trade wars that harm everyone involved. As we move forward, it's crucial to consider the long-term implications of tariffs on global trade, economic growth, and geopolitical stability. We need to find ways to address legitimate trade concerns without resorting to protectionist measures that ultimately harm everyone. Section 8. Winners and losers. Examining the complexities of tariff impacts. It's tempting to think of tariffs in black and white terms, winners and losers, but the reality is far more nuanced and intricate. While some industries might benefit from protectionist measures, others are likely to suffer significant setbacks. Take the steel industry, for example. Tariffs on imported steel might protect jobs in the US steel industry, but they also hurt manufacturers that rely on affordable steel, like car makers and appliance manufacturers. These companies might have to raise prices on their products, making their products less competitive in the global market, potentially leading to job losses in those sectors, which can ripple through the economy. The same goes for consumers. While tariffs might be intended to protect domestic jobs, they can also lead to higher prices for everyday goods, hurting consumers, especially those with lower incomes who spend a larger portion of their income on necessities. The point is, tariffs create winners and losers, and it's not always easy to predict who will benefit and who will lose out. It's a complex equation with far-reaching consequences that affect various sectors of the economy. Understanding these impacts requires a deep dive into economic data and trends. Policymakers must weigh these factors carefully to make informed decisions. The stakes are high, and the outcomes can shape the economic landscape for years to come. Section 9. Conclusion. Navigating the uncertain waters of global trade wars. Tariffs are a bit like that annoying houseguest who overstays their welcome. They might seem like a good idea at first, but they can quickly become disruptive and create more problems than they solve. In a world grappling with climate change, geopolitical instability, and economic uncertainty, The last thing we need is a descent into protectionism and trade wars. Instead, we should be working together to strengthen the global trading system, promote fair competition, and ensure that the benefits of trade are shared more equitably. So, the next time you hear someone talking about tariffs as a simple solution to complex trade problems, remember that it's rarely that straightforward. The global economy is a delicate ecosystem, and tariffs are like throwing a wrench into the machinery. The consequences are often unpredictable, far-reaching, and rarely beneficial in the long run.